Now that you've learned all about ibles and hables, it's time to learn some more simple transformaciones that convert everyday English words into their Spanish equivalents, or vice versa, now that your Spanish is moving along so rápidamente. Do you remember Michelle Thomas teaching you that English words ending in ANT and ENT become ANTE and ENTE in Spanish? Let's review some, like importante. It's importante for you to have them on the tip of your tongue. Let's begin. How would you say in Spanish, "It's not very important for me, but it is very important for you, Roberto"? Think it through and use the familiar para ti since you're talking to Roberto. Okay, once again. It's not very important for me, but it is very important for you, Roberto.
No es muy importante para mí, pero es muy importante para ti, Roberto.
Yes, no es muy importante para mí, pero es muy importante para ti, Roberto. Since Roberto is your close friend, you use the familiar. He'd think you were angry with him if you didn't. Okay, let's move on. In Spanish, the expression "what a shame" is que lástima, spelled K, Q-U-E with an accent, and lástima, L-A-S-T-I-M-A, with an accent over the first A, lástima. So how would you say, "What a shame. This restaurant is not very good"?
¡Qué lástima! Este restaurante no es muy bueno.
Yes, qué lástima. Este restaurante no es muy bueno. And how would you say, "Wine is very abundant in Spain"? Your turn to lead, and be sure to watch out for that Spanish "the." Again, wine is very abundant in Spain. Good for you. El vino es muy abundante en España. Can you say this for me once again? Wine is very abundant in Spain.
El vino es muy abundante en España.
Okay. El vino es muy abundante en España. We need to use that "the," in this case el, because vino is masculine. Now, do you remember Michelle Thomas telling you that in Spanish, you never begin a word with SC, ST, or SP? You must use an E before that S. That's why Spain becomes España, student, estudiante, school, escuela, stupid, estúpido, and writer, escritor. Think of scribe to help you remember the word to write in Spanish, which is escribir. Okay, here's another handy trick. Lots of verbs on the AR track are very fond of our little friend ante, A-N-T-E, ante. And since over 90% of all Spanish verbs belong to the AR track, this little transformación is very useful indeed. Here's how it works. For example, the Spanish for to participate is participar, spelled P-A-R-T-I-C-I-P-A-R. So if you want to create the Spanish word for participant, just take off the AR and add ante. Thus, someone who is participating is a participante. Now, if alarmar means to alarm in Spanish, how would you say alarming?
Alarmante.
Right, alarmante. Hopefully you won't need to use this word, and you may be wondering why we're even bothering to learn it. Good question. Again, the answer is that you already know it. You don't need to memorize it, and you don't want to be limited to baby talk. Just make an educated guess when words sound and look the same, and most of the time, you'll get that ball over the net. In other words, you will be understood, just like Michelle Thomas always said. So in this spirit of unlocking what you already know, how would you say, "This situation is very alarming and I want to avoid it"? Let's break it up. First, this situation is very alarming would be,
Esta situación es muy alarmante.
yes, esta situación es muy alarmante. And I want to avoid it.
Y quiero evitarla.
Y quiero evitarla. Did you remember to be agreeable in Spanish and use la for la situación? If so, good for you. So once more, this situation is very alarming and I want to avoid it.
Esta situación es muy alarmante y quiero evitarla.
Yes, esta situación es muy alarmante y quiero evitarla. And if you want to say, I want to avoid it right now, the Spanish expression for right now is Aoramismo, spelled A-H-O-R-A, then mismo, M-I-S-M-O. So how would you say, I want to avoid it right now?
Quiero evitarla ahora mismo.
Quiero evitarla ahora mismo. Now, if the Spanish for to penetrate is penetrar, how would you say penetrating?
Penetrante.
Yes, penetrante, another sophisticated adult word, and why not? You may not yet be fluent in Spanish, but you're definitely on the ball and know a lot more Spanish than you think. So let's unlock that storehouse of Spanish inside you that is just waiting to get out. Okay, back to work. If fascinar is to fascinate, can you guess the Spanish for fascinating?
Fascinante.
Of course, fascinante. And how would you say this, Roberta?
Fascinante.
Okay. And what about tolerant? Good for you, tolerante. So how would you say it is important to be tolerant? Right. Es importante ser tolerante. Let's hear it once more.
Es importante ser tolerante.
Indeed it is. Es importante ser tolerante. Listen to those antes. To paraphrase Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady, I think you've got it. By George, you've got it.